Hey guys, Project Pat345 coming at you with a deck profile. I know I haven't been putting up content a lot lately. I've just been really busy with work and school and stuff like that. So fuck you, Jeff Strain, for telling me to continuously put up more content when he knows I'm busy. But yeah, I just decided to throw together heroes. I played Rabbit at Regionals this past weekend. Didn't do too well. X4 scrubbed out. I lost to a wind-up, a hero, a Watt deck, which I'm not going to explain, and then I lost to TG's, which is a hard matchup for Rabbit anyway. So I decided to throw together my hero deck. As you guys know, it's one of my favorite decks to play, and I just felt like it had a really good showing in this current format with everything that's going on. So I'll just show you guys the quick build. It's extremely similar to Sean Montague's build that he topped Toronto with. I did take a lot of ideas off his video, so it is very similar. You have the one Stratos, it's pretty staple. Searches your 3 Alias. Then you have 3 Thunder King. I felt like 3 Thunder King was absolutely necessary in this format. As you guys know, this is probably one of the single best cards in the game right now. If you can play Protect the Thunder King, which this deck does very well, you do have a high chance of winning, just because with Gyria's flipping and searching, doing their pluses. Same thing with the hero deck, doing their pluses, and being able to negate special summons. Thunder King's just single-handedly one of the best cards out there right now, in my opinion. Then you have 2 Maxi. Sean Montague talked about how he played it, the same reason I play it, because of the wind-up matchup. It is a hard matchup, especially if they go first and call spells. It's almost impossible for you to come back from. So I felt as though you have to have a card that, if you do lose the die roll, you have to have some type of card to combat windups. And as you guys know, Maxi is obviously the best card for that matchup. So that's why I'm deciding to play 2. Sean Montague talked about dropping it for Compulse. I'm already maining 2 Compulse, and I decided to stick with Maxi. It is dead sometimes, especially game 1s against like road decks and stuff, but at least you can even out when they Monster Reborn or Call of the Haunted or something like that. But I felt as though against windups you have to have this turn 1, so that's why I'm still playing it. Then you have 1 Honest. Sean Montague didn't play it. He played Crusader of Endymion over it. I personally have never played Crusader in any of my hero builds, partially because I just didn't like the idea of it. I do intend on trying Crusader in the deck, because after much thought, I do agree with Sean that I feel as though it might be better than Honest. I just felt Honest was still a very good card, because with your aliases, and especially your Thunder Kings, like I said, playing the Protect the Thunder King game is very important. I felt like it's good. And also, too, with builds going around like Sean's, people don't expect the Honest, so they might, willingly, or that's not even a word, they might just attack into one of your cards and not think about it, and you drop Honest, and you can take massive advantage from there. And then 1 Gorge, same reason Sean played it. It gains you advantage because a lot of players don't think you're playing in this, but it can gain you a lot of advantage. So the card's still good. Then on for the spells, you play Triple Miracle Fusion. The card's absolutely the best card in the entire deck. If you can simplify the game state, which this deck does a lot, your opponent is going to be forced to bottomless and solemn warning cards like Thunder King. If you can do that, if you can bait out the warnings and the bottomlesses with that, and then follow up in the Miracle Fusion, it's absolutely devastating. It's extremely difficult for your opponent to come back from. Then you play the 3 Gemini Spark. It nets you pluses. I know a lot of people are starting to say this card's bad. I really don't know where they got that idea from. For some reason, people are saying it doesn't net you pluses or whatever, but they clearly have never played this deck before. It protects your aliases from bottomlesses, torrentials, mirror forces, D-prisons, anything of that nature. So the card's really good at nets you pluses. Then you play 2 Duality. It's all you can play. Yes, obviously the deck was better when you could play 3. Thinking about it, I didn't think Duality would hurt the deck that much, and it didn't. But it is extremely annoying only having 2 Duality to work with. But you play 2 because it's what we have. Same thing with the 2 E-Calls and the Rhoda. Those are just search cards. With such a low monster count, these basically count as monsters. So your monster count's not as low as it seems, and they're just search cards that allow you to search for what you need. Then you play the 1 Soul Taker. With Thunder King being so prevalent in this format, and cards like Stratos, Rhoda, and E-Call being so important to your setup, I felt like first turn Thunder King could be extremely devastating against this deck, and it is. It's extremely hard to combat. So I decided to main 1 Soul Taker for that reason. I'm not playing Book of Moon over it. I felt like Soul Taker was just better because Soul Taker completely eliminates the problem, whereas Book of Moon only stalls it for a turn, if you will. So I just felt like this was a lot better than Book of Moon. Then you play the staples, Reborn, Heavy, and Dark Hole. Under the trap, she played Double Bottomless. This card hits a lot of stuff this format, from Gyria's to Dark World, the Mirror Match, Rabbit, windups even. You can wind up the carrier, and it's hard for them. So this is very good. Only 2 D prison. I want to fit in a third, but I honestly don't have space right now. I'm sure I could find space, but also I don't have a third, so I'm just playing 2 right now. 2 compulse. Sean talked about how good this card was for him at Toronto, and I have to agree with him. This card's insane. It breaks up XYZ plays. It allows you to save your monsters. Especially with this deck having such a low monster count, sometimes you just open up with 1 Thunder King and a bunch of back row, which in theory is good, but you may not draw a monster for a couple turns. So I felt as though if you summon, Thunder King and they bottomless it, and you have the compulse set, you have the option of compulsing your monster to save it, so that way you're guaranteed to have a monster next turn. Compulse just has a lot of potential power in this format because it's one of the few cards in the game it's chainable, and it allows you to be offensive and defensive with the card, so it's good. Then you play Double Torrential. Stops windups. It's really the only deck I'm worried about. Then you play your 2 Hero Blast. They net you pluses because you can break up XYZ plays, stop your opponent's pushes and stuff like that, and then you gain your alias back. So these almost count as a monster in a sense. So Hero Blast is very good. And then you play the staple 2 Warnings and Solemn, and then you play the Starlight Road. That's the main deck. It's 40 cards. Like I said, I do want to try and fit in a Crusader of Demion. So if you guys have any suggestions, leave your comments below. Then onto the extra deck. It's pretty standard. I play Triple Shining. I'm dropping one of these when I get a Nova Master, so that's that. Then you just play the 1-ups Ab-Zero, Gaia, Tornado, Escradillo, just for the Super Poly. I'm playing Chimera Tech because I'm siding the Cyber Dragons against any machine-type decks. Then you have Blade Armor and Excalibur. Both of these cards allow for pushes. Blade Armor is very good because it can set up your Hero Blast plays, but Excalibur, since the release of this card, this deck has but it's gained a lot of OTK potential, because if you Excalibur and detach the 2, it instantly sets up your graveyard for Miracle Fusion. So if you make a Shining, that's instantly 7,200 on board. And if they don't have an answer to that, that's a lot for them to deal with, because on their turn they have to deal with a 4,000 Excalibur and a 3,200 Shining, excuse me. So both of these cards are very good for this deck. Then you have the Butterfly, Utopia, Maestro. You do cool plays with Maestro and Torrential if they have like a set Geargy armor. And then 1 Pearl. And then you play the 1 Stardust for Starlight Road. Then onto my side deck. It's going to vary depending on your local meta, but 2 Cyber Dragon. For me, this goes in against, Gyria, Machina, things like that. It can also go against anti-meta. It baits out the Thunder King, which is sometimes a problem, like I said, with this deck. It's just sometimes nice against certain decks to just have big beaters, like the random GB deck. I don't fucking know. 2 Snowman Eater. This card deals with Thunder King. I did main this in my Rabbit deck over the weekend, and this was clearly the MVP. There were so many times where I'd have Rabbit in my hand. First turn, I would just set Snowman Eater because I was scared of Veiler, and they would attack into it and couldn't do anything, and the next turn I'd summon Rabbit. Or even this card's even great because you can set it, and if they don't attack into it, you can summon your Tour Guide, and they Veiler, and then you can just flip the Snowman and pop their card. I know I kind of got it off from this deck, but I just love Snowman Eater as a card. Then you have the 2 Super Polys. It's pretty staple for this deck, obviously. 2 Chalice. I like this card because, as I said that Thunder King was a problem, this allows you to get around Thunder King in the sense that if you summon a Stratos, they're going to let it go because you're not going to be able to search, and then if you chain Chalice to their Thunder King, you can then search, and they don't see it coming. It also deals with cards like Snowman Eater, Raikou, Geargy Armor, things of that nature. 2 Space, just because you don't main them, so you have to side them, I feel like. The second Soul Taker to deal with more problem cards. People still think that Chaos Dragons is a real deck, and it is a deck, but you have to get extremely lucky with it, but it's still there. So you have to play this. And the Mirror Match is good. 2 Rivalry. This card absolutely destroys windups. It destroys Rabbit. It doesn't destroy Rabbit, but it slows him down greatly. decks like that, this card's extremely good. And then you have 2 needle stealing. I don't have them; they're coming in the mail. But 2 needle stealing, it helps you deal with windups, and sometimes even against I want to say card like decks like 6 samurai that just swarm the field a lot. Uh, but yeah, those are supposed to be needle ceilings. So that's my hero deck, guys. If you guys have any questions, don't be afraid to ask, and don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe. Thanks, guys.